Live on WFLA Now. This is Run for Fun with running enthusiast Leigh Spann.
All right, welcome back to the WFLA Now Stream Center for this week's episode of Run for Fun with Leigh Spann. And of course, the year is winding down and people are getting ready for the new experience in the new year. And we are here to help you have a healthier 2023 in all sense of that, meaning getting off the couch and really learning to love exercise. And Tampa running coach Maria Williams, coach, is back with us on this Tuesday. Good morning.
Good morning.
And we had actually a good amount of feedback from last week's episode, which is one of the questions I get a lot, is all about what to eat before and after runs. And so
I'm so happy to get feedback.
Yeah, so people really did, I think that's just a question that a lot of my friends ask me, like, what do you eat? Because they don't know when you wake up, do you have a cup of coffee? All of those questions. And so we tackled some of those last week. So I wanted to kind of shout out some of the viewers who were watching. And so Terry Tuggle says that he usually has a bowl of oatmeal right before he goes. He actually is a bike rider. And again, this is our Run for Fun episodes are really just any sort of consistent outdoor exercising.
Yes.
And so we'd said oatmeal is good.
Yes, great choice.
And then Eddie did say he actually gets 2 cups of coffee before his run, which is ironclad stomach, if you ask me.
I think Luke can do that too. You got to have a tough stomach, but
yeah, 2 cups of coffee.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So then we actually got a couple of comments on our YouTube version as well. So St. Pete Runner 8758 says, it's nice to see some running content. More people need to get active. So again, we appreciate everyone who did watch last week's episode, and you can always go back and start. They don't necessarily go in any sort of order. So we're on the podcast. We have the digital version that we have on our website, and we just hope that people have a little more healthy start to 2023.
Yeah, we want you to get moving. We need you to get off the couch.
Off the couch. And so we did have one question that came in from Teresa Testa, and she says, can you share with me what kind of watch you use? I mean, I'm wearing it right now while running, and do you track your running with a smartwatch? There are a lot of smartwatches out there, and there's a lot of ways you can track that's very expensive or cheap and free, basically.
I think that's a great episode for us to do later. But for sure, for right now, you don't need anything other than you could just bring your phone, actually. Back in the day, I used to do everything by minutes. So I wore just a basic Timex watch, and I'd go out 20 minutes, back 20 minutes. Never really knew how far I was going unless I drove the loop after.
Which is what you would do. And then you would learn, okay, well, from my house to that tree is 1 mile. And you learn, that's how I started, actually. But now there's a lot of things you can either, again, spend a lot on or spend no money on.
You can also use Map My Run. That's a good one. That's on your phone. It's a free app. Or Strava. Strava will tell you the distance pretty accurately. And I have the Phoenix. I have a fancy one. I have a Phoenix 7S. That's very fancy because I like a lot of running metrics. But that's not necessary unless you like to look at data.
And by data, I mean, it shows you your heart rate. What are some of the other things? And it tracks your sleep.
Sleep, cadence, HRV.
Which is?
Like the stress level on your body.
Okay.
But it's all an algorithm, and it's not 100% accurate. So you kind of have to know what you're doing to use it, which I kind of like. But it's just another tool in the toolbox. So it's something you can use. You can also do Garmin's that are much less. Yeah.
I mean, probably the cheapest one is about 125.
I think they're like 150 to 190 now. But
But it is helpful to be able to look down and know how far you've gone. But again, all you have to do is drive that route beforehand, and you know how far a mile is or how far 2 miles is.
You can use Apple Watch too.
Yeah.
They it's not always the most accurate on distance, but if you're using the same thing every day, It doesn't really matter. Whatever you have for a data point, use it every day.
All right. So today we're going to transition now. So thank you for your feedback. We love to see it. We will probably do a full episode on ways to track your miles and your distance as well. But that was a great question. So thank you for that. So today's rundown is motivation versus consistency, and then how to create a running lifestyle, or we'll call it a healthy lifestyle. This is one of the things that Maria talks a lot about, because believe it or not, even people who love running, we're not always motivated.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, motivation is a lie. I mean, people tell you all the time, like, oh, they tell me all the time, oh, you're so motivated. No, I'm actually not. But I have trained my body. So, with a little bit of training, it can lead to, and discipline can lead to motivation. It actually gives you more motivation down the road, but you kind of got to just get off the couch first.
You can't rely on being excited to get out every day. I mean, you're not going to find people who love running much more than Coach and I, or Coach and me. And there are days when I think, no, I have to go out today.
Yeah.
But because it's part of my lifestyle, once I get out there, then it's good. But the motivation is not there on some days.
And when you start to learn to run properly, then you start to realize it gives you energy.
Yes.
And then if I have a busy day, I used to be like, oh, I have a busy day, I can't run. Now, if I have a busy day, I'm like, oh, I need to run today.
Yeah.
Because that's going to give me more energy. It's part of the habit stacking that I've built and that kind of thing.
All right, so we're going to start with, which I talked a little about this today on the newscast when I was letting everyone know about the Run for Fun podcast and digital show, is the rule of 3, because you got to manage expectations. Y'all, we're only going to get about a third, if we're lucky, great runs. So if you get out there and it feels like crap, guess what? Yeah. Everybody has those, and 2/3 are not going to feel great.
Yeah. There's some that are just going to feel okay. I call them the meh runs. Meh. It's all right.
It's fine. I did it. I'm home now. Yeah.
But the difference, I try to look for the things that are, not just how I feel. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I did that today. I went 3 miles. I ran 30 minutes. That's much more than anybody else does. So in a regular day. So I'm proud of myself for doing that. Or, oh, this gives me more energy in the afternoon. I don't have that everyday slump. So even if my run feels nasty, I know it's going to give me other benefits, not just how I feel during the run.
Yeah. So this is what we want to manage your expectations, because if you expect to go out and just feel this runner's high, which people ask me about all the time as well.
Yeah.
No, you don't get it every time. You don't even get it most of the time. So know that sometimes exercising and working out, whatever you're doing, riding bicycles or going to the gym, it's just not, some days it's just not going to feel great. So you get excited when you have a great run or a great exercise or a great workout. And then you deal with the okay runs. And then there's going to be tough runs. And guess what? That makes tough people.
Yeah.
When you get through those tough runs, and then you were even more elated when you get one of those great runs.
It makes you more confident as a human being. Yeah. It really does. When you get out there and you're like, oh gosh, this really stinks, but I'm just going to keep going anyway. And it's kind of like anything in life. There's just some things we got to do and know that the benefits are going to be in the future, not maybe right today.
And so as people, as we're talking to anyone out there in podcast land or digital land, as you start your new lifestyle in 2023, we hope this podcast is a part of it, so that you know that if you go out there and it is a tough day, that there's better days coming. So that's what we want to manage your expectations and not expect a perfect run every time, but know that there's a third of them out there. And so I'm always
And it doesn't mean you're not improving.
No, of course
you're still improving on the hard days. You're always improving. So even if you're racing a lot and you don't have a good race, like, you're always improving. Mm-hmm. It's never guaranteed that you're going to have, it's easy to do things when things are going well, but it's kind of awesome to push through when things aren't going well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a part of building a healthy lifestyle is just to know that you're out there. The motivation has to sometimes come from, this is now my habit. This is now my lifestyle. Not, do I feel like going out? Because there's plenty of times when you don't feel like going out. But if it's part of your lifestyle, then that is the motivation to get out there.
Yeah. And I always tell myself and my runners, if I don't feel like getting out of bed, I will say, it's okay. You can do 20 minutes.
Yep.
And then if 20 minutes you feel like garbage, then walk home and you've still got your steps for the day. And chances are once you get out there, you're not going to feel like garbage. That typically doesn't happen. Like even on your hard days, they feel like this isn't great, but you're not going to feel so bad you want to turn around typically. Yeah. I don't think I've ever done it actually.
I can count on one hand. At least.
Not very many times.
Not very many times where I've gone out and said, okay, I can turn around at 2 miles or 1 mile and then actually did it. You inch forward. You're like, okay, I'll do another quarter mile out. So that's a full half mile extra. And then you're like, well, so
you got to give yourself at least a mile because usually the first mile stinks anyway. Yeah. But I do think there's nothing wrong with letting yourself, giving yourself an out. Yes. Because the hardest part is actually getting out the door.
Right.
Like whether it be in the morning or in the afternoon. Like some people are and run in the afternoon. I can't do that very well because I have a busy day and I'm tired by the end of the day and I will talk myself out of it at night. But in the morning, I'm like, when that alarm goes off, I'm like, oh man, I could sleep so much right now. It would be so much better. But I always know in the future, I'm going to feel so much better. You never regret it.
No, very few runs that you ever go and do or workouts that you go and do you regret doing them. There's, if you fell and hurt yourself, then you can regret falling and hurting or doing, but
which does happen sometimes.
Which does happen. I've got a good stitches scar right here from going out in the rain, actually. So
the thing I love about consistency is it actually gives you freedom.
Oh, tell me more.
Because
more about this.
When you are consistent, then when you really do need to take off a day, you don't have to feel bad about it. Yeah. Like people worry about, like a lot of my runners worry about from Christmas to New Year's, and they're like, oh my gosh, I've got this 1 week and I've got so much going on and I can't run. And I'm like, guys, you've been consistent from New Year's to Christmas. So take a freaking week off. Nobody cares. It's not going to hurt you because you've been consistent the rest of the year.
Yeah. Think about that. A great present that you get for Christmas to New Year's is that you can enjoy
and eat what you want and have a good time. You can go on vacation and not run. I mean, that's not what I do. I like to run more on vacation, but some people can take a vacation. I have some runners that are just like, hey coach, it's my vacation. Don't schedule me anything. And I'm like, sure, you've been great all year. This is your reward. And when you've been consistent, you're not going to lose that in a week.
Yeah. So, as more and more of you, hopefully next year are getting out there and being consistent, then I like that. It gives you freedom. Whereas most people would think, if I'm going out and being consistent, then I'm stuck to that. I'm locked into that all the time. But because you've built this healthy lifestyle, part of the healthy lifestyle is taking a break sometimes and not being confined, because your body will tell you sometimes that you need to take a break.
And then you won't feel bad about it. You shouldn't feel bad about it if you need to take a day off. Like that shouldn't be a thing. But
yes, my dog just jumped up into the
Pickles wants to run too.
She does like to run right to the food container. Sorry, Pickles, you got to get back down. All right.
Yeah.
So one of the other things you were talking about too, Maria, and is habit stacking. So this is something that I've not really heard about in any other capacity, but I'm sure that it's something that can be used in other parts of life. But so talk about a little, what it is, and then how the habit stacking can help with this new healthy lifestyle we're bringing in 2023.
So when you're starting to run, sometimes you don't like it because it doesn't feel good. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, most of your runs are not going to feel good just because you're not in shape. So you want to stack it with a habit that you like.
Okay.
So typically for me, I tell my runners, find a podcast you like or find an Audible book that you like and only let yourself listen to it when you go on your run. So I'm going to go on my run. Or you can do it with music.
Right.
I have a certain playlist that I really love to listen to, but I'm only going to listen to it on my runs. So then what happens is you get excited to listen to your playlist or you get excited to listen to your book. And so guess what happens? You start to train your mind to get excited for running. So eventually your body will be like, oh, good, it's exciting to go run because now I get to listen to my book.
Right. And then that book ends and now you still have that, I get to go run.
Yes. I do it with my running partners. They don't even know that they do that, but I'm like, I get to see Beth and Cindy today. Yay, this is so exciting. Yeah. I get to hear about all of their week. I get to hear about their weekend and what they did. And so on a Monday morning when I'm feeling like, I don't know if I really want to get out of bed, I get to find out about the weekend. So,
and so what are some of the other maybe rewards, I guess for lack of a better word, that people can do to entice themselves to go out? Because we don't want to do necessarily food rewards all the time, but like, what are some of the other ways that can help get someone out there that they'll be excited about?
Well, you can use food.
You can.
Like we kind of talked about it last week, but you can if you like to eat Pop-Tarts, but you don't want to eat Pop-Tarts during the day because you know it's not the best choice. I'm only going to let myself have a little bit of a Pop-Tart before I go for a run, and that gets you excited to go. Or it can be a routine that makes you start your day well. Like, I really like to meditate and I start my day with meditation, and then I'm going to go for a run. So it's basically putting one habit that you like with one habit that you don't like.
Okay.
And then naturally you start to like the other habit.
Yes. And when, when people start to kind of transition from being an early runner to more of this consistent runner, what does that feel like to them? I mean, where it becomes less about needing that motivation and more about, I asked this question, I'll back up a little bit. I asked the question because it's always fun to me to hear the person say, I need to go on a run, and their body will, and their mind will go like, I need to go on a run. It's so strange to feel after never running for a long time. It is.
And when you're running properly, this happens. A lot of times when you're running too hard all the time, you never get this feeling. And this is why I'm like, oh gosh, learn how to do it right up front, because when it adds to your life, that's when you want to do it. And you'll start to notice other things. I mean, you notice, minus just that your clothes typically fit better. But it's also the energy you get for the rest of the day. You get, and your mind becomes more focused, and there's so many other benefits. And then when you get involved in the community and you feel like you're part of something, that's the next level where you're just excited to move to the next level and see what you can do. And you're doing things that you never thought you could do before.
Yep.
That just makes you want to do it more.
I have a vivid memory of me making that transition. And then my husband, who was a celebrated lazy person. I mean, in 20s and even into his 30s, it was, look at how long I can sit on the couch. Look at how little I've ever exercised in my life. And so then, he sees me out there. So eventually he kind of starts a little bit. And then one day he came to me and he said, I need to go on a run. And I was like, there it is. It's when your body says, I'm used to doing this.
And I like it.
I like it. Let's get out there. And that is.
And I'm a better person because of it. Yeah. Luke didn't run for the first 10 years of our marriage.
And you were a consistent runner.
Yes, I ran the whole time. He always exercised. He was a cross-country runner in high school, but I think he was more, I think this happens a lot with high school runners. They're used to being told what to do all the time. And then when they don't have anybody to tell them what to do, they just kind of like, oh, wait, I have to motivate myself. I see it so much with these like high school athletes. I never really had that. So I always had to tell myself to get out there and go. But I see it with a lot of high school runners. They just can't get themselves out there. And then he just kind of started running with me. And then now it's like our sacred time. Like it is the time. And this is the other thing. There's very few things in your life where you don't have any, what's the word? Distractions. Yeah. So Luke and I go out for 40. We did it this morning. We went for a 4-mile run. We had no distraction. We had no kid distractions. We had no phone distractions. And we just talked about everything.
Yeah.
Not very many people have that.
And even, even if you don't have a significant other, anyone that you're running with, you tend to be a lot more open. Yeah. And I think a lot of it is, first of all, you're trying to just, spend the time, but you're not looking directly at them.
Yeah.
So you're looking forward, they're looking forward, and you're just kind of telling about your day, and you're not having, and then the other person is enjoying your story because then they get to kind of relax and just listen. And then when it's their turn to talk, then you get to relax and listen, and they get to, sometimes I call it vomit at the mouth, because you don't have as much of an edit man in your brain to stop talking. And so you end up telling
That's the endorphins. The endorphins keep going, and then all of a sudden you're talking about poop on your run, and people are like, I'm just going to tell you about all of my bathroom issues.
Exactly. So, and that, again, that's a nice way to connect with your significant other, but it's also a great way to connect with any other person in your life. I mean, even a stroll, it just helps to look forward. I've heard of there's a running therapist I heard about. And and so she takes her clients out for a run so that they feel at ease. They're not laying on the couch or doing those normal therapy things, but she's like, you'd be surprised at the amount of,
I believe that.
Of openness and it comes so much more quickly when you're just running along.
And some of these friends, you don't really spend any time outside of your run with.
Yeah.
Like it's not, some of them you do, but sometimes that's all you need is we need that connection. Yeah. People need connections.
And so if one of your habit stacking is finding a run group, I mean, I know I've talked to over the years many runners, and it's not just that they need that the person to expect them to be out there, but that's helpful. That's the motivation. It's like, well, I can't. So and so is waiting on me. I got to get out of bed. That's one thing. But then when you get out there and you have that connection with someone or with a group of people, it is very different than any other sort of run group.
I mean, you don't have any makeup on. You don't have. You're like sometimes you're rolling out of bed or you just got done a hard day of work, and these people are seeing you like raw. So it's a very special kind of relationship. I've had a running partner my whole life. Everywhere that I've always lived. I mean, I still remember my first running partner, and I still talk to her and run with her when I'm in Maine. I love Michelle. She was my first running partner. So, and it is a little bit like dating. You're like, oh, I've got to see if this person is, and I think we should do a whole episode on finding running people, because
you have to date around.
Yeah, you have to date
because
around.
It's not only the aerobic capacity, how fast they can go, how long they can go, things like that, and see if that fits you. But you have to be vulnerable, because you're going to vomit at the mouth, and you're going to tell things about yourself, and you need to trust that this person is either going to keep that confidence or.
Oh yeah, and we used to like talk in our running group about how you tell them I'm going to throw you in a ditch the next run. Like, we're going to push you in a ditch. Like, this is serious business. Like, but this is what keeps you motivated, because you just get so excited to get out there and see your friends that you haven't seen in a while. And sometimes you have multiple different groups in multiple different places that serve multiple different purposes. So that would be a great episode.
Yes. And again, this is the topic you see at the bottom of the screen there is motivation versus consistency. And there's no bigger motivation and then creating consistency than to have someone who's waiting on you and expecting you to be there. Yeah. And then you have to say, hey, I'm out of town this weekend, or you have to have that accountability. To
accountability. Yeah. And accountability, you can have an accountability partner like a coach. I don't really feel like a coach is the best accountability partner, because you're not doing it for yourself. You still need to do it for yourself, in my opinion. But you can have somebody to check in with and say, look, I'm going to do this, or your partner. Yeah. Like, even if your partner's not a runner, hey, can you hold me accountable and say, hey, get out of bed this morning? Can you help me do that? Or can you help me go out tonight and maybe ride your bike? There's a lot of spouses that ride their bikes with their partners when they're trying to get in shape. So just find somebody or something that can help hold you accountable.
Yes. And so we're going to wrap this episode up, because we want you to have that motivation, get the motivation, and know that it is there. But there will be times when it's not there as well. And so that's where we transition into the consistency. And as we move forward into 2023, it's just going to help. We want to build that lifestyle, and knowing that there'll be days when you want nothing more than to get out there and put those shoes on. And then there's days when you don't. You have to make that conscious decision early on while you're making this new healthy lifestyle, that consistency is there all the time. The motivation is only there some of the time.
Yeah. And don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Like, if you just can't get out there one day, it's not an all or nothing. Like, you can't get out, sleep in. Okay. Get up the next day and go. Don't let one day turn into 2 days or 3 days or 4 days. Just say, oh, today's not the day for me. I need a break. And then you're more likely to keep up with it over time.
Yeah.
like
that's the
for
goal.
a lifetime. Yeah.
That's Maria's goal for all of us.
Yes. Lifetime runners. We want lifetime exercisers.
I plan on being out there when I'm 90. Is that
Yeah.
That's the goal, right?
90, 95.
The,
as long as the good Lord keeps me here.
You know what my brother just told me about, and I'm gonna forget the guy's name, and I meant to bring it. The guy who sings "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer" is a world champion masters runner. He runs he runs like the mile, like he has the world.
He's been running from reindeer his whole life. Is that really what it is?
So as we get ready for Christmas here, the guy who sang the the "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer" song is now a world-class masters runner. He's 80s. He's in his 80s.
Ooh, can we get him and interview him?
I don't know. I will pull all strings.
That would be so fun.
But see, that's what we're talking about. Is that he's out there. He's playing the banjo, and he's also running the mile distance at 90.
And you'd be surprised once you learn how to run, and you felt like you were never an athlete. This has helped me pick up other habits where maybe I can play the guitar, or maybe I can. Luke wants to learn the banjo actually now.
I
maybe I should have got him a banjo for Christmas, but yeah, no, it gives you confidence.
Yeah.
That's the greatest part. Once you know that you can be motivated and disciplined and stick with it, you can do anything really.
Because I do think that can be the scariest part, and I like what you said about don't let perfect be the
enemy of
good. If you get out there 3 times a week, that's great. If you were planning on 4, you still got out there 3. That's really
is better
good.
3 is better than none at all.
3 is better than none
and
at all.
That's the 20-minute rule. 20 minutes is better than none at all. I know Steve Magnus. He's a great person to follow on Instagram. Actually, he has a lot of fun running advice, but he says 5 minutes. He has a 5-minute rule. Just have to go out for 5 minutes.
Which by the time you get your shoes on,
you're going for longer than 5 minutes. Yeah,
but 20 is one as you can you could feel okay if you went in after 20 minutes and just be like, I did that.
And
that
if you're in a lull for a week, buy yourself a new outfit. That's another way to do it.
Just get freedom.
I'm just gonna get a new running outfit. Then I'm excited to go out running, or I'm gonna get some new running shoes, or I'm gonna get some kind of running gadget that'll you can find little ways to get yourself excited.
And that's it. And we'll end it there. Well, you guys, we really appreciate. We love the feedback, because we're going to always answer your questions, and then maybe even out of the question get a whole episode. We'll probably have a whole episode on running gadgets now, as well. But thank you so much. We're gonna be heading in now through the Christmas holiday and into next week when it's the new year. So please get out there and start that healthy lifestyle, Coach. You have a good, healthy lifestyle as well, so thank you.
Hey, you too. Go for it.